Hi, I'm Jen Winfrey. I'm a program manager in the County of San Diego's Department of Public Works, and I oversee the county's Permanent Road Division program. Currently, our Permanent Road Division program, or PRD program, has 5,700 parcels in it and serves approximately 16,500 residents by the maintenance of 100 miles of road in 67 different Permanent Road Division zones. Most of our permanent road division zones were formed before 1980, and many of them are in need of rate adjustments in order to be able to fund road maintenance at current prices. The overall pavement condition index for roads within this PRD program is PCI of 61, which means the roads are in good condition, and we'll talk more about that later. The annual revenues for all of the 67 PRD zones combined is about $2.1 million, and our budget for this year was just under $10.5 million. As I introduced before, my name is Jen Winfrey. My contact information is on this slide. This presentation in particular is for PRD Zone 104, and it is to discuss options for funding roadwork within the Permanent Road Division program or other ways that the community can continue to maintain their private roads. Additional staff in our program is J. Roland Chase, and her contact information is on this slide as well. The objectives for this presentation and the public meeting to be held on March 19th for the property owners within PRD Zone 104 are to better understand the Permanent Road Division program, understand the proposed road work for PRD 104, as well as the funding needs to continue with that work within the PRD program. We'll also be discussing the options for property owners to maintain their private roads, including a rate increase within the PRD program, which will involve balloting, board approval, and will provide timelines for all of those. The agenda for the meeting is to review Permanent Road Division program basics, an overview of PRD 104, the proposed road work, options to maintain private roads, including those rate increases, and next steps. We're going to start off by discussing some basics of the Permanent Road Division program that apply to all PRD zones within the program. PRD zones are a type of special district formed at the request of property owners or as a condition of development that provides for private road maintenance services. The roads remain private, but they are declared as public as part of the administrative process for the PRD program to work. For each PRD zone, the San Diego County Board of Supervisors approves an ordinance that lists the authorized services, the maximum rate, and how to calculate each parcel's charge on an annual basis. These things, the rate and the methodology and the services, were all approved by property owners at the time of formation. PRD zones may be charging a rate below their maximum rate, and our Board of Supervisors does have the authority to increase within that max rate without returning to property owners for their approval or feedback. However, it is our current county process and policy that we do conduct outreach to property owners, and we get their feedback on the rate that will be applied to their district moving forward. The private road maintenance services provided by the Permanent Road Division program in the County of San Diego are funded from property owner paid assessments or special taxes. Each PRD zone's revenues are kept in individual funds, and any interest earned on the funds remains within their individual account. So all of the money that's paid in and all of the money that's earned through interest is available for administrative or road maintenance services in the future. Permanent Road Division zones are governed primarily by California state law within the California Streets and Highways Code. There are additional sections of laws on assessment and special districts that also apply to Permanent Road Division zones. Locally, County Policy J16 provides specific guidance for Permanent Road Division zones within our county, and specific to us and our county, Policy J16 talks about and defines the role of volunteer road committees, as well as the dissolution of these permanent road division zones, which can be initiated either by property owners or initiated by the county if the district is not able to fund road work needed to maintain the roads in overall good condition. There is more in-depth information on Permanent Road Division Program on a presentation and a video available on our website. You can see the information here on this slide as to the specific link, or you can search for it within our website. The PRD program can provide different types of maintenance services depending on what was originally authorized by property owners, as it is included within their formation documents of the PRD zones, or during a process where we reform an old district or we form a new district. The current property owners can establish and set the expectation and the funding for services, and those services can include road maintenance and replacement, including surface seals, crack sealing and filling, drainage culvert repair or replacement, roadside berms, those are curbs commonly referred to, striping and legends, road sign replacements, and additional services are available including street sweeping, snow plowing, and roadside vegetation trimming if property owners want to fund those through the PRD program. The County of San Diego inspects and evaluates PRD roads through a combination of inspectors and a pavement condition index level evaluation. Our staff inspect your roads to look at the road conditions, road signs, culverts, and document any areas of concern or areas that need replacement or repair. A pavement condition index evaluation, or PCI evaluation, is completed with a vehicle with a downward facing high resolution camera. That video is later analyzed and given a score as far as road surface distress and the smoothness of the ride. That evaluation results in a numerical score, and you can see here what those scores equate to as far as very good to very poor road condition. So in our county, if a road has a PCI score of 70 or above, it's considered to be in very good condition. Roads in good condition have a PCI score between 50 and 70. Poor condition roads have a PCI valuation between 25 and 50, and roads in very poor condition have a PCI below 25. This is a recorded meeting, so you won't have the opportunity to provide us feedback or ask us questions at this point. However, our contact information is on this presentation and on our website, and we welcome any communication from property owners within PRD zones or property owners in our county who are interested in the PRD zone program as an opportunity for road maintenance services. Please do send us an email, call us, and we will get back to you as soon as we are able to. Thank you. Now that we've presented some of the basics on the Permanent Road Division Zone program, we'll discuss the specifics for PRD Zone 104, their current road condition, the proposed road work, as well as the funding options that we're presenting tonight, including a rate increase, community solution, or dissolution of the district. Permanent Road Division Zone 104, Artesian Road, was formed in 1981 and maintains 1.77 miles of road and 6 culverts. There are currently 134 parcels within the district boundaries, and the average parcel annual charge is $120. This charge is placed on and paid through the annual property tax bills from the County of San Diego. You'll see it in the area on the property tax bill that's for fixed and special charges, and it will be listed with PRD Zone 104 next to it, as well as a phone number and email that you can contact if you ever have questions on it. For PRD 104, property owners currently pay a rate of $9 per benefit unit, and the average parcel within this district has 13.3 benefit units, which results in that $120 charge. The annual revenue from assessments is just over $16,000, and the interest earned on any fund balance within PRD Zone 104's account remains within that balance and is available for future expenses for the PRD zone. The estimated fund balance for the end of the current fiscal year, so this would be as of July 1, is just under $10,000 for PRD Zone 104. PRD 104's overall road condition is good, with a PCI, or Pavement Condition Index, level of 64. You can find the specifics for each of the road segments within this PRD zone on our website by following this link in the PDF document that's available, or just by searching our website to find this information. Due to the area groundwater, the way the roads were constructed, the age of the roads, and the current condition of the roads, roads may deteriorate by anywhere from 2 to 5 points per year. And for PRD 104, due to the high level of groundwater in the area, the roads here could be in poor condition within 3 to 7 years. And now we'll discuss the county's recommended road treatment for PRD 104. We recommend reconstructing and resurfacing all 1.77 miles of road and repairing or replacing one culvert within 10 years. The roadwork cost estimate is just under $800,000 in this year dollars. These costs on this slide are estimated to increase by 3% per year for inflationary reasons. This roadwork includes a 2-inch mill and inlay and 10% of the road area for localized asphalt repair, commonly referred to as dig-outs in our industry. We would also install additional French drain of about 60 feet in order to improve drainage in an area impacted by persistent groundwater. The culvert cost estimate is $32,500, and that it would be to repair or replace one culvert. The exact treatment would be determined at the time of the work to be most beneficial and suitable for that time and the community. Additionally, maintenance is recommended every 7 to 10 years, and that maintenance is a slurry seal with 10% localized asphalt repair or dig-outs for the entire road length, and the approximate cost in this year dollars is $432,000. And now we'll discuss in general some of the options that property owners have to improve and maintain their private roads. The Permanent Road Division program is one way that property owners can maintain their private roads. It is not the only way. There are quite a few different ways. We'll talk about some of those here tonight, and staff are available to discuss other options with property owners if that is something that people want to discuss. The first option is to support a rate increase within the Permanent Road Division Zone program. This would improve funding, which would allow us to maintain the roads in better condition. Because your PRD zone is not currently paying an assessment rate at your max rate, you have the ability to increase the rate with property owner support and improve the funding within the district, enabling the county to conduct and complete more road maintenance. Additionally, property owners have the option to reject a rate increase. In this case, if no additional funding was available, the county would continue to use the funds that are available to conduct the highest priority repairs. Property owners would be responsible for all other road work that could not be completed with PRD funds. There is a possibility that if there was no additional funding in this PRD zone, that the county could recommend dissolution of PRD 104 if the roads fell into poor condition and that there was no funding available within 10 years to improve or maintain them in good condition. This is through a process called a dissolution, which we'll discuss in just a moment. A third option available to property owners is a community solution. This can be done, obviously, without a PRD zone in place or with a PRD zone in place. In this option, community members can come together to discuss the road maintenance work that's needed and to determine whether or not there's anyone within the community who could do this work for you. You could also discuss passing the hat and raising funds to hire a contractor independently of the county in order to complete some or all of the road work that we've recommended. This community solution option doesn't require a community to complete the entire amount of road work or an entire amount of road work for an individual road segment. One community that we had that chose to do this option completed the prep work for the road work, and then the county came in with the PRD funding and our contractor in order to do the surface treatment of the road. If this is something that your community is interested in, we will talk about this more a little bit later in the slides, but it is worth noting that the county cannot transfer PRD funds to property owners due to fiscal laws and requirements. So the PRD funds would remain with the program until such a time as they were spent for PRD road maintenance or administration, or that the district was dissolved, which brings us to dissolution. PRD zones can be dissolved. They were formed by property owners to provide property owners with a road maintenance funding mechanism, and they can be dissolved by property owners. Dissolution is just described in County Board Policy J16, which is available online and on our website. If a district was dissolved, the county would no longer collect property owner assessments and would no longer be responsible for road maintenance. All road maintenance responsibility would return to property owners. Property owners can initiate a dissolution by petition or on county ballots like the ones that we'll be discussing later tonight. If property owners choose to dissolve a district, they can also select whether or not they want to have the remaining fund balance within the PRD zone refunded to the property owners who paid them or spent on any final road work. Additionally, the county can also initiate dissolution of a PRD zone, as I discussed above when I talked about whether or not if property owners did not want a rate increase. If roads overall condition within a PRD zone fell into poor condition, which is below PCI 50, county staff would recommend the dissolution of that district if there was no funding to maintain those roads in good condition within 10 years. We'll talk more about those two dissolution options later on as well. In advance of this meeting, we've prepared a couple of funding options for property owners to consider based off of our assessment of the roads, treatments, and conversations with some community members which have indicated that they would like their roads maintained in very good condition. Funding option 1 would complete the work as soon as possible within the maximum rate and maintain the roads in very good condition. I talked more in detail in an earlier slide about the road work, but for this funding option, the road work would be phased into 2 phases. The first phase would occur in year 3 and would reconstruct and resurface 1.1 miles of road and enhance the drainage with that French drain that we discussed. The remaining 0.67 miles of road would be completed in year 5. As you can see on the slide, we've put in the fiscal year markers here. So year 5 is year 2028-29. The rate increase needed to fund this work would be to increase the rate from the current $9 per benefit unit to $120. The average residential parcel within this district would pay $1,601 per year at this rate. That is an increase over the current rate of $1,481 per year. We do anticipate that the rate could be reduced in year 6 following the completion of the roadwork in year 5, and would at that reduced rate, which would be calculated at that time, what would most likely be less than $50 per benefit unit, would be enough to fund maintenance over the next 2 maintenance cycles, or approximately 14 to 20 years. The second funding option we prepared spaces out the timeline to complete the phased roadwork a little bit more. In this funding option, the roadwork would be completed in 7 years and would also maintain the roads in very good condition. As you can see here, the dollar amounts for the road repairs and the culverts remain the same. However, the roadwork would occur in year 4 for 1.1 miles and in year 7 for the remaining 0.67 miles. The rate increase needed for this option to complete the work within 10 years would be to go to a rate of $90. That means the average residential parcel would pay $1,201 per year. It's an increase of $1,081 per year, and the rate reduction again would be anticipated to occur the year after the roadwork was completed, in this case in year 8, which would be fiscal year 2031-32. The third funding option that we've prepared and are sharing with you tonight is a phased increase option. The roadwork would be completed within 6 years. This splits the difference between option 1 and 2 and would maintain the roads in very good condition. The cost of the roadwork would remain the same. The roadwork would occur in year 4 and in year 6 in the same increments that we mentioned before. The difference here is that the increased rate would be phased in over 3 years. So in the first year, the rate would increase from the current $9 per benefit unit to $40, which would result in an average residential parcel charge of $534 per year. And the second year, the rate would increase to $80, which would result in an average residential parcel charge of $1,067. And in the third and final year of the rate increase, the rate would increase to $120, and that would result in an average annual parcel charge of $1,601 per year. That charge and that rate would remain in place until the roadwork was complete, and then we would be looking at a rate reduction in year 7. As we previously mentioned, the reduced rate would likely be less than $50 per benefit unit and would be able to fully fund the maintenance cycles for the next 14 to 20 years. All 3 of the rate options that I shared previously include funds for regular maintenance and a reserve fund in order to allow the district to respond to emergent issues with your roads or any culvert issues over time. The recommendation for regular maintenance for the PRD 104's roads is to do maintenance every 7 to 10 years. Those 2 maintenance cycles following this initial large-scale roadwork would be a slurry seal and 5 to 10% of local asphalt repairs. This year cost for that estimated maintenance is just over $430,000. We also recommend that this PRD zone retain a reserve fund of $70,000. This $70,000 will allow us to address any culvert work, unexpected and unanticipated repairs due to particularly wet years or degradation of the road due to traffic usage or groundwater impacts on the road without having to increase the rate within those initial years and time period following these 2 maintenance cycles. Now that we've discussed the options to improve funding within the PRD program to increase the road maintenance and road condition, we'll discuss the next 2 options, which are the community solution as well as dissolution of the PRD zone. Community solution is an option that communities can take when they have people within their community who are well-versed and capable of doing road work. They may own their own construction businesses or have in the past and are able to do some basic repairs. For this option to be in place, property owners could either do the road work completely themselves, they could do part of the prep work, therefore reducing the overall cost that would be needed within the PRD program, reducing the rate that property owners are paying each year, or property owners could completely bypass the PRD program while keeping the PRD program in place and pass the hat, raise money, and hire a contractor to do some of the road work or all of the road work that's needed in this initial phase in order to, again, keep the rate within the PRD program at a lower rate. So this involves obviously a heavier level of community involvement and commitment. You would have to have obviously meetings to agree on what type of work, what the cost distribution was going to be, who was going to oversee it, who was going to collect and manage the funds, but your community is more than capable of doing those things. So this option is available to your community and all of our PRD communities. We would ask that you provide a timeline and some information to us if this is an option you choose to take so that we can adapt what we are doing and planning for your community, as well as potentially be there as a resource for you to provide any information on road treatments or questions you may have after consulting with a contractor who might do this work. However, I do have to say that if this plan is put into place and no rate increase is improved, but the plan is not successful in actually improving the road condition, then the possibility that the county could dissolve this PRD if and when the road condition falls to poor which would be below a PCI 50, and there was not sufficient funding within the PRD program to improve and maintain those roads above PCI 50 or in good condition, then staff may recommend that the PRD zone be dissolved. Now, early on in the presentation, I mentioned that PRD zones were formed by property owners or as a condition of development of a community. That means that the county also wants to offer property owners the ability to dissolve the PRD zone and walk away from it. As I've mentioned a couple of times now, PRD zones and the PRD program is not a good fit for every community, and we understand that, and the county has a process whereas property owners can petition to have a PRD zone dissolved. That means that the PRD zone would no longer exist. The county would no longer collect an assessment or a special tax on the annual property tax bill for road maintenance services, and that ultimately when the PRD zone was dissolved, the property owners would resume full responsibility for road maintenance services. The dissolution process is relatively simple. Property owners can initiate dissolution through a petition or through county ballots, which we'll discuss the balloting process in just a few more minutes. Dissolution needs to be initiated by a majority of all property owners, which means 50+% of all property owners. Any petitions that are completed with above 50% of all property owners can be submitted to the county. You can submit these to the county at any point in time. However, if the goal is to remove the assessment from the upcoming property tax bill, we need to receive the petitions by July 15th in any given year in order to validate the petitions, basically looking at the signatures on them and making sure they correspond to the correct property owners. And then that gives us time to remove that assessment from the upcoming property tax rolls. To dissolve a district, the board has to hear the item in 2 different hearings and ultimately vote to dissolve the district. Board Policy J16 also provides the reasons and process for the county to initiate dissolution of a PRD zone. We've already discussed this a couple of times, but I'll recap it here. If a PRD zone's roads fall into poor condition, which would be below PCI 50, and there was not funding available, and there would not be funding available within 10 years to improve or maintain those roads above PCI 50 or in good condition, then staff could recommend the dissolution of a PRD zone. That does not guarantee that a PRD zone would be dissolved based off of our recommendation, but we would take that to our management, the executive management, and then ultimately bring it to the board in order to get their feedback on whether they want that item to proceed towards dissolution. If the dissolution did proceed, then staff would work with property owners to either spend the remaining funds on road work or to refund it to the property owners who paid it. Property owners would be informed about the pending dissolution and board hearing dates and how to participate in those hearings. The first hearing is to schedule a public hearing, but property owners are welcome to speak at that hearing. The second hearing is the actual public hearing and is predominantly where we would expect property owners to participate and speak. If the board approved the dissolution, as we've talked about, the PRD would no longer exist, the county would not collect funds for the PRD road maintenance, and property owners would have full road maintenance responsibility in the future. As I said before, this is a recorded presentation, so you won't be able to provide us feedback directly to staff presenting as you would in the public meeting on March 19th. However, we do want to get feedback from property owners about the types of services, the rates, the road condition that you want your road maintained in, so that we can present options in the follow-up letter to this public meeting and ultimately on the ballot, which we'll talk about in a moment, so that we're presenting 2 funding options that respond to what the community wants. So please do reach out to us by phone or by email, mail us a letter. We would love to get your feedback so that we can try to prepare options that are responsive to the community and meet your needs. Now that we've discussed all the options that we've prepared for property owners tonight, let's talk about what's going to happen next. So following the March 19th meeting, Staff will send out a letter to property owners with the bulk of the information in this presentation, as well as the feedback that we received and how we have modified any of the funding options based off of that feedback. Then also in that letter will be some dates, which I'll share with you in just a moment, on when the balloting will occur. On this slide, you can see a sample ballot that shows you kind of the format and structure that you'll see when you receive a ballot in the mail. The ballot will include the deadline for returning it, how to return it, your personal information, as well as the options that you have to vote on, a signature line, a printed name line, and a date line. So starting from the top, it'll talk about which PRD zone this is, when the ballot is due, and how to return it, and how to mark it correctly. We will be selecting of the options, the 3 funding options tonight. We may modify any one of those. We may develop an entirely different option based off of the feedback we receive, but the ballot will include 2 funding options, and as well as 2 options to not approve the increased funding. So we ask that property owners mark their ballots twice. As you can see here, we've pre-marked this one to kind of demonstrate that. So in option 1, which is approve a rate increase, they've marked on the option 1 line, and then they've selected option 1B, which is the second funding option that was presented in this example. In the next option, option 2 here, is the option to not approve a rate increase. Property owners cannot approve a rate increase, and they can not approve the rate increase and request that the PRD be dissolved. As we've discussed, for the PRD to be dissolved, 50+% of all property owners have to be in support of a dissolution. For a ballot to be considered valid, it needs to have an option marked. It also needs to be signed and dated by a person legally able to represent that parcel. So that would either be one of the parcel's owners or someone that the parcel owners have legally delegated authority to. We will be mailing ballots to property owners on April 12th, which means you should receive them no more than a week after that. If you have not received a ballot, please contact us to request a new one. Ballots will be due on May 6th by 8 a.m. May 6th is a Monday, so we were giving the maximum amount of time to give property owners. So Monday, May 6th at 8 a.m., all ballots must be received either by mail or by email. The ballot results will be calculated based off of 50% of returned ballots. So a simple majority of the returned ballots will be used to determine whether or not property owners support a rate increase or do not support a rate increase. After the balloting is completed, my staff will send a letter to property owners notifying you of the ballot results, as well as the date of the board hearing, where the board will affirm that vote to increase or not increase the rate. The tentative scheduled date for that hearing is June 26th. These are live hearings down at the Pacific Highway building for the County Administration Center. People can also submit comments in writing, by mail, or by calling in during board hearings, and the letter we send you will enumerate all of those options and how to proceed if you would like to participate in the hearing. If the board does affirm a rate increase or the same rate, if property owners do not want a rate increase, the rate will be enrolled on the upcoming property tax bills for 24-25, and you will see that in fall of 2024. As I've said a few times now, we really would like feedback from this community on what types of choices and discussions have occurred, including which funding options are preferred, what services the community wants, as well as if you want your roads maintained in very good condition, or if community members are okay with just good condition roads. You can submit these any questions that you have, as well as this feedback, to us by calling, emailing, or mailing us at the information that you see here. We have a group email box that all of our staff have access to and is monitored daily, our general phone number, as well as our address here at the county where you can send us mail. This concludes this presentation. Please do join us on March 19th if you're able for the in-person meeting. It's helpful to have multiple people giving us feedback at the same time, allowing us to ask you follow-up questions so that we can better understand the community's concerns as well as their desires for maintaining their private roads. You can also, as I've said before, email us or call us with any questions or feedback. There's also a significant amount of information up on our website about the Permanent Road Division program and each PRD zone, including this PRD zone. So please do visit that if you have additional questions.